Okay, I'll just say while we're giving another minute for everyone else who's going to join that we're really excited to have you today with us. We are thrilled to be launching the next generation of the Similarweb platform, Similarweb 3.0, and also to give you some practical and actionable insights and tips and tricks today for how you can improve your own business performance. There will be Q&A at the end of the webinar, so feel free throughout the webinar to ask questions in the Q&A. And we'll be checking that out. And as soon as we have a chance, we'll stop and get those answered. So I think we're going to get started. Introducing the future of digital intelligence. It's time to unlock more right now. So welcome. I am your host, Tali Chuchinsky. I'm the SVP of Product Marketing and Customer Education here at Similarweb. I'm thrilled to have with me today our speakers, Marta and Baruch. Marta is the VP of our digital research solution. She's leading the market research department here at Similarweb, and she is a digital insights and marketing strategy expert with over 20 years in the sector. So Marta, thank you so much for being here. And also we have Baruch. He is our VP of Marketing Solution. Baruch has been the ex-CPO of Conductor, another tool in the digital marketing intelligence space, and the head of product at the e-commerce giant Magento. He's passionate about developing marketing platforms that truly serve today's marketer. So we're thrilled and lucky to have both of them. You might have seen them recently at different global conferences, whether it was Marta at Gartner's Marketing Symposium or TMRE, and Baruch recently presented at HubSpot's Inbound conference in Demexco. So we're lucky to have them, and I can't wait for us to get started. So let's go. The agenda today, we're going to do a little bit of an introduction just about Similarweb 3.0, and then spend most of the time on a case study that Marta and Baruch are going to lead in terms of how you can turn our data into action. So going from knowing your market to owning your market. Then we'll do a little bit more of a sneak peek on the specifics of the Similarweb 3.0 launch, and of course, leave time at the end for all of your questions. So again, feel free to submit as we go. Okay, so we're going to start off with a poll. What do you guys think is the most important growth driver for every company? We're really curious to get your input from the crowd. And as you're filling the poll, I'm going to ask first Marta what your thoughts on this are.
Well, Tali, thanks for the introduction and for this question. Many companies are actually struggling nowadays with a dilemma. Should we focus on like a new market expansion, new geographies, new segments, or should we rather protect our market shares in the core market? And this is like one of the biggest puzzles to solve. And the balance, where to look for a growth in the down market is probably between the two, across that customer acquisition, resources and budget management, and product development as well.
And Baruch, what are your thoughts?
Thank you for the intro. I think for many marketing team is getting alignment with everyone to focus on the right tactics with which channels they want to spend the majority of the effort, but also making sure we don't fall in love with one tactic and go where the customers actually are.
Very true. So let's see the poll answer, what everyone has said. Customer acquisition and retention seems to be the most popular, but as Marta said, there is a bit of course, emphasis on all of the others. So let's continue. We're going to see at the end of today's webinar if we feel like we have some actionable help in each of these areas, but definitely customer acquisition is a big focus of ours as well. By the way, underlying all of those things, we believe, is data, and particularly good data, right? Good data is how you can make good decisions that drive the right acquisition strategy and the right kind of budget management and planning. And so whether you need to adjust the marketing spend or perform better market analysis, digital data is going to be the core to every marketing leader and department. And so that's why Similarweb, it's our mission to power the world's businesses with the best digital data. We really believe that with the best digital data, we enable each of you to make the best decisions to drive more acquisition and better growth efficiently for the companies that you work at. Just a few comments about Similarweb. If you haven't heard much about us before, top publications rely on our data. We're kind of seeing ourselves as a common measure of the digital world and being cited with a lot of trust. And even Jimmy Kimmel and Elon Musk, whether you love them or hate them, are relying on our data. And what makes our data so unique is the 360-degree coverage, both in terms of breadth and depth. So from a platform and tools perspective, we really created actionable tools for every type of use case in marketing departments and in executive teams, from competitor analysis to market research, audience analysis, performance marketing, and diving deep into each of the marketing channels, SEO, PPC, affiliate, display, et cetera. So our tools are powered by real user, fresh, granular data for, as you can see, kind of the stats on the slide, over 190 countries and all of the different websites, apps, keywords, everything really that we think is necessary to capture in the digital world. We have billions and billions of signals. So the biggest companies in the world are relying on our data because it is so powerful and so robust. And we're really thrilled and proud to be able to bring this to more of you today. So Similarweb 3.0 is all about unlocking more insights, impact, ROI. We are bringing new data sets and new tools to help drive that. And we're going to look at a case study today that's going to be totally backed by the Similarweb 3.0 platform to help you go from knowing your market to growing your market. So today we're going to be looking at Lululemon. That's the company that we've selected for our case study to analyze. Lululemon, of course, is a giant in the retail space, and particularly in the activewear apparel market. And we're going to start with some slides from Marta, who's going to talk us through her own market analysis of where they can find growth opportunities.
Thank you, Tali. And here, actually, Lululemon is an amazing example of balancing between the protecting market shares and the retention strategy and looking for new growth opportunities, but also a perfect example because this company can grow despite of all turbulences. What you could see on this timeline for the additional context, before COVID, yes, we are coming back to the pre-COVID old times. Lululemon leadership promised their investors a very ambitious growth plan, go outside of their core iconic yoga pants and grow in the new categories, in men apparel, new women categories, but also across the new geographies. And this growth was executed despite of all the turbulences, as I mentioned. Firstly, during COVID, when the market was very uncertain, Lululemon was named the winner of lockdowns with comfortable but really nice yoga pants, perfect for the endless calls. Then 2 years later, when it was already back to office and back to gym, that was another trigger, another growth trigger, because you cannot get back to gym in, all pants. But here we are right now in the 2023 with the inflation starting to shape customers' behaviors, polarizing customers, but also investors asking Lululemon if the main growth is because of the APAC and China expansion. Are they still like a growth leader in the US? And we will be looking at the US market over the next few slides, trying to answer the question about the growth potential in the US. Now, if you think about Lululemon structure, they have half of the revenue coming from the D2C, so their e-commerce channel, and we will be focusing on this channel precisely. So we are looking at the last 2 years. That's the time when actually Lululemon, the entire athleisure market, growth plus 37%. Within this time frame, Lululemon's traffic share increased from 7.8, nearly 8% in September 21 to over 11% in 23. So last year was in particular great for the entire category, creating a lot of growth opportunities for established, but also for the new players. So zooming to the last 12 months, quite amazing for the entire category, we could see that the audience increased plus 7% and visits to digital stores increased plus 16%. And here we speak about the traffic, but it's important to know that conversions in the mid-range fashion, so priced up to $200, are growing around 7% over the last 12 months. So there is a high demand which can be monetized, but also there is relatively high entry barrier for competitors with high loyalty, high cost of traffic acquisition, and also high importance of the brand. Now, In the growing market, it's generally considered enough to just protect your market position. And this is also what many of you selected in the poll, like a retention is the key focus right now. Lululemon, however, managed to climb up slightly with increasing their market shares plus 1% year over year. But also the same result was achieved by Fabletics or Adidas. But zooming in on the growth of the male audience segment, we could see that Lululemon didn't increase significantly, while Fabletics and Gymshark, they increased this audience share by 5 percentage points year over year. Why we are speaking about this specific audience segment? Because this is the one that was promised to the Lululemon's investors as a new market and a growth opportunity for Lulu. But also we know from our studies that this segment is converting much better during the down market. And that's why we are focusing on it so much. Now, moving to the next slide. When we speak about the traffic share, we only see the part of the story, so how frequently customers are visiting the store. But what's really important is the size of audience. So what we could see, Lululemon has a great results with plus 40% audience increase year over year, but there are two players who managed to grow customers more than plus 50%. And some interesting notes about them. Fabletics is perceived as affordable alternative to Lululemon, while Alo Yoga has been named the Tesla of athleisure and the choice of the younger generation. Both players are concentrating on the Lululemon origin, so athleisure market and iconic yoga pants. Lululemon could grow, of course, faster. Now we could move to the next slide. Because of the increasing price sensitivity, customers are looking for cheaper alternatives. They are not growing as fast as they could. And the cheaper alternative, or how young generations call it dupes for duplicates, is a big trend we can observe at the moment in the US market, but also across the world. There are many more customers who would love to get Lululemon, but they are open to try a cheaper alternative because they struggle financially. And we see they are searching for them in Google, but also inside of Amazon Marketplace with really impressive volumes. We could consider it a risk, but also an opportunity, as high search volume for a brand is a strong indicator of a brand strength across the funnel, so from awareness, interest, evaluation, and consideration. So moving to next slide, we put together different dimensions to assess the brand strength on our quadrant. On one end, we look at the branded search volume, so how many customers are looking for the brand, how frequently the brand is being searched in Google. On the other dimension, we see the direct traffic to the website, so how many customers would have the website already top of mind and they would go directly to the website, skipping the search in Google. So Lulu is an absolute leader with strong brand identity, amazing product quality. So we see they are winning the core market, but we excluded from this quadrant bigger players like Nike or Adidas. But we need to remember that Lululemon's ambition is to play outside of the core market and grow. So on the next slide, we are showing actually in the context of Adidas and Nike playing in, totally different market, including football and, like a sneakers. But here Lululemon is also on the third position, stronger than Puma, which is a really impressive result. Now, thinking that Lululemon has a very strong brand, we could try to think how cost efficient is their growth, how much they are investing in digital marketing. So on the next slide, we are looking at the cost efficiency. So the proportion of the spend on digital marketing to the period over period, in this context, last 12 months, year-over-year comparison of the traffic growth on the website. And what we can see here that actually Lululemon manages to grow in a very cost-efficient way. Nike, Adidas, and Fabletics have invested significantly more, but also Alo Yoga, the new player, has lower investments but faster growth. So probably something to learn about from them. And moving to the next slide, if we think about cost-efficient strategies, cost-efficient growth strategies, we will focus nowadays on customers' retention. And again, I'm coming back to the pool. This is what the majority of you selected. So we are looking at this quadrant of loyalty and retention. On one end, trying to understand what's the number of the returning visitors to the website, so audience coming back. On the other end, the exclusive visitors that would be loyal only to one brand. And we see, again, Lululemon has a very good result, but they probably could learn some lesson from Fabletics or Nike. At the same time, when we were looking at audience overlap between Lulu and their core competitors like Fabletics and Alo Yoga, we see that Lululemon has a very, very large share of exclusive audience. So probably who's visiting other websites, not only Lululemon, might not be the first core customers of this yoga iconic pants. Now, moving to much deeper insights. With higher price sensitivity, customers are more open to join loyalty programs. And this is also important to look at it, not only just visiting websites, exclusive visitors or returning visitors, but we could go with our segment analysis much deeper and understand the memberships and loyalty programs visits. So this is what you could see between the competitors in this market. What was the proportion of the visits to this specific loyalty and membership sections versus the entire website? And interesting finding is that Fabletics is absolutely leading this competitive set with nearly 25% visits coming to their membership loyalty programs. And good to know here that Fabletics have a very specific strategy here, also having a paid membership. So they try to actually transform their membership programs into more kind of a subscription business model. And they are quite successful with that. That's the reason why they were so high on the loyalty and retention quadrant. But moving to another indicator of the cost-efficient growth and, like a interesting growth strategy in turbulent times, we are looking at customers who are sending items back. So the big problem of the entire fashion retail industry right now, in particular in e-commerce, is customers are returning purchased items back, very often overusing BNPL technology, and actually buy only to try, not really with the intention to keep the things. So it's very important to look at the return rates from this perspective. But that's also showing us another dimension, which is more customer satisfaction. And Lululemon, being well known from a great quality of the product and amazing product experience, has one of the lowest return rates in the industry, under 1%, while the cheaper alternatives like Gymshark or Fabletics are struggling in this area much more. So this is all the insights I have prepared for today from knowing the market. Now back to you, Tali.
Thank you so much, Marta. I thought that was really amazing to see the depth and granularity that now on Similarweb 3.0 is available to slice and dice all of the data in one's market and customize the views of the market. We'll get a bit more into detail later on in the recap about exactly which features and data sets we're supporting that. But thank you for the introduction to the Lululemon market. Now we're going to turn it over to Baruch for a marketing deep dive into how we can grow one's audience actually through a marketing lens.
Great. Hi again. So just to a bit recap what we heard, some of Marta's great market insight that we've seen so far. So first of all, Lululemon is growing during these turbulent times, and they're doing it in a very cost-efficient way. Second thing is that Gymshark and Fabletics are growing faster in the men category, and each one with their own unique audiences that they're going after. And then Lululemon actually have a higher price point, but they also have a great loyalty to them. And we could see also that the product is actually winning through the lower return rate. But as marketers, we always curious to know, like, what is so great about their marketing, right? What is so strong? How do they actually playing into their brand strength? And are they actually missing maybe some opportunities that exist out there that they may not be thinking about? So let's look into the next slide. So here, what I'd like to always start with as a marketer is, let me understand the channel mix, right? And we can tell quite a bit from it. So the first thing is that there are two areas that they are leading the pack, right? Both on the direct and the organic. High direct, as we know, is giving us a good understanding that this is a good brand strength. And we could see it for a variety of dimensions. But interestingly, also, there's a higher percentage that is coming from organic that not only represent the brand strength, but actually good content marketing team and a good SEO practice. So in this section, I'm going to dive into some of these points that sort of help the marketing team supporting that growth that we have seen. We're going to look into the paid landscape and the competition. We saw Lululemon that was very cost efficient for Marta, but are there areas that they're actually losing? Are any competitors that are coming in and taking market share? What are the underutilized channels that they may be thinking about to showing that marginal growth that we are being asked to show? Where can Lululemon direct some more effort to win in the market share, the men's market share? And lastly is, how does actually Lululemon play into the higher price point through the content and take it as the advantage of their marketing tactic? So first up is the paid traffic. Here we can see definitely that from the back in even 2021, at the beginning of 2021, they've been upping their spend all the time. And as Marta showed us before, this isn't just splashing out. They get their money back. They are very cost effective with their paid traffic, and especially important given the importance of so many competitors that are jumping in. If we go into the next slide, and when we're thinking about the competitive landscape, here we see a place where Lululemon actually had a dip in their paid search traffic and strategy in a period where they invested a little bit less than the normal. It was just ahead of their sales season. And it looks like they were saving it up to the upcoming month when the sales are coming, and we can see the spike there and they're upping their bids. But during that small period of pre-sale seasons, there were plenty of competitors that just came in to take the advantage. So while Alo Yoga are there and bidding on Lululemon's branded term, we also, as we saw from Marta, the audience overlap isn't quite as high. So there is also space not just for them, but for other bidders. Amazon is joining the party. And while they sell Lululemon products, we can see from their ads here that they are targeting customers that are looking for an alternative. eOfferBase, which is some form of a monetization publisher, is leading the charge to capture this traffic, where Lulu is actually slowing down. And check out that chunk in orange. How much are they taking this market share? You'll see from the example on the screen here, both that Amazon and Alo are actually bidding and creating ads based on the strength here of the Lululemon brand. And when you have high brand strength, you need to protect that brand. So if we go into the next slide, we can see here actually a screenshot of the past month. And what we've done here is we used a new capability called brand protection. And we're able to see and put alerts that gives us the Lululemon traffic into their branded term. It basically alerts you every day and to know when a bid is actually being made over your branded term, who made it, what ad, what did it look like, what was the copy. And here we can see some known brands such as Walmart and Net-a-Porter, maybe a partner of them that are bidding. But we see some new competitors like Camo Fitness at the top. This report is particularly impactful as you start to see the emerging competitor won't always show up in this comparison when you're doing to the big competitors. So you may not actually benchmark yourself against them, But the truth is that they're actually, it's a very common tactics, and they're seeing their brand and they are targeting with their own sort of messaging. It's a very easy one for them to see. And it allows you basically to decide, do I need to amp my spend in my branded term? Now, moving away from the paid traffic into another channel that Lulu maybe is more have an opportunity is actually, we can see here, is the referral. So I spoke about sort of like digging into sometimes a smaller channel, right? Showing that marginal growth. And one marketing team, often they undervalue what they can get from affiliates or referral traffic. And I just picked this one example of this content that is from Yoga Nomads that hasn't drove a lot, but enough marginally that can show them enough information that there is an opportunity to capture traffic to the website. And in this scenario, consumers are always looking to compare these products and brands. And this is an impartial review sites that are just growing always in prominence on the site. So if you go to the next slide, we can actually see the competitor where Lululemon can do a lot more in the e-commerce and the lifestyle publishers, and bringing more referral traffic from this particular types of sites. So both from e-commerce, shopping, and just lifestyle type of website. Okay, next up. So the next thing that we brought up was the men category investment. And as Marta earlier talked about, Lululemon's focus was on men clothing, but we also saw Gymshark and Fabletics that were winning the race. If we go into the next slide, in this chart, you can see that Lululemon actually have done a very good job in soaking up most of the traffic to their branded men's clothing keywords. The competitors are present, right? But they're not actually eating the branded market share. However, with Lulu's strong brand, we would expect them to be actually winning more. And so the real opportunity where they should have actually invested even further was the non-branded term. And here we can see it in the next slide, where we could see some keyword groups of non-branded terms and the men's sportswear. And Lululemon is not as present as you would expect. Gymshark actually largely dominated, but Fabletics had some huge spikes in gains. And some newcomers that are coming in, like Temu.com, has ended actually that period on the top. So just relying on their branded keyword probably isn't enough for Lululemon in the men's category. And they may need more market share, and the landscape is tough. But there are still some opportunities out there, as we can see from the organic. And just from context, I want to show you how Lululemon actually win in this category. So we can see in the next slide, here we can see how the category then they dominate. If we compare Lululemon to our base competitor set again, so Alo Yoga, Fabletics, and Gymshark for running, they're actually winning this race for every single top search terms. And there's a nice mix between paid and organic traffic as well. And so to close up this men's section, I wanted to highlight a development that we've seen from this last month. And so fellow close competitor of Alo Yoga have just increased their traffic in the men's space for core search terms. And this information is directly from our competitive tracker that we brought in, that we're introducing in 3.0. And we're actually encouraging more marketing leaders to set up these type of dashboards, and then being able to be constantly on top of who is actually changing the strategy. And this is just in the last month, and even on the core keywords that you think you're always driving the traffic towards your website. Okay, so the last piece is about defending and playing into their brand strengths. So I mentioned earlier that they have a very strong brand, and Marta showed us sort of like how the target audience and the price range. But here we can see, even in one example, how they're actually leaning into it. The quality promise page is the 19th most visit page from organic traffic in the past August, and it's just trending up. And so you can see that they capture keywords like warranty and quality promise just to demonstrate what is important in today's market. The promise of quality for them is paying off, and they're doubling down on it. And so they want to make sure that the audience that they capture is actually, they're justifying the higher price point. And this type of content is just one more pillars in their way of giving that confidence to consumer, that not only are we giving you great product, but the sustainability that this product is bringing in the clothing, and to avoid this sort of like fast fashion that one may think about. Last but not least, I mentioned in the next slide, I mentioned a little bit about sort of like the overall branded traffic. This slide may seem busy, but it's to give you a bit of a context into how much are they controlling the SERP with their branded traffic. In fact, they've invested heavily in many channels, YouTube, Instagram, all various areas where they can, to be able to show up on the SERP in every place that they can. And so they're not just, and you can see the strength of the brand through this view. Our rank tracking capabilities is actually giving you this view in all areas, in the granularities you need, in order to know where are you owning the SERP and where are the sources of your branded term. And this is just one example of how strong their brand is in all of these various digital assets and investment that they've been putting out there. Next slide. Now, you might think you're always safe. Here, I just point out like 3 actually new ones that they haven't been showed up. And Google actually awarded Forbes and a publisher in this example. And so we're giving them the view immediately to know these really fresh keywords that are showing up and who is coming up. Now, as a brand, they have an opportunity. They can either start developing content that helps addressing those new terms that are showing up, or in the meantime, even put some display ads in those articles at Forbes and bring the traffic back into their site. So a variety of ways for them to go after. The last point I had for today was actually about the opportunity to capture those dupes, right? Those replacement, these alternatives and things like that. And so, yes, Lululemon clearly is focusing on quality and higher price range, and I don't think it will change. But there actually are willing customers that are being priced out of the market. And here we see people searching actually for cheap Lululemon alternatives, and all these queries are actually not showing any particular website that is actually winning. What Lulu can actually do here in those scenarios is they can leverage their sales or their last season merchandise, and to drive folks maybe into an outlet store or potentially into their sales section, and really try to bring even that audience that want to experience that Lululemon, but cannot always just afford it. So overall, clearly we can see Lululemon is dominant on their various channels, but there's still quite a few pockets of opportunities that they can go and improve and capture upon them. Okay, so before we switch into looking into the new capabilities in more details, I went through a competitor research in a variety of dimensions, as well as Marta showed the market research. And so I wanted to put a poll for all of you guys, is that how often do you actually conduct that competitor research to find those growth opportunities?
And while the folks on the line are submitting their answers, I'll ask each of you, Marta, how often would you recommend, or in your background, how frequently were you performing research?
So like in the old times, we used to do it like not too frequently because it was expensive. Right now, like fortunately, we could really monitor the market daily or weekly, right? So there are new opportunities to actually track the market trends, track the competitors' activities. So it's not about conducting, it's rather the live tracking.
Mm-hmm. And Baruch, what's your thought for marketers? Where would you recommend daily, weekly, monthly, different kind
I
of
think,
cadences?
yeah, I think for every campaign or every piece of content, you need to constantly look into it, especially in the paid, where this is a very dynamic one. But it's also a factor of how many products you have and how many campaigns you're concurrently running. But I definitely would recommend to look at things at a weekly basis at the minimum, because things are so dynamic, and it presents many times an opportunity, or you may not watch your back and actually somebody else is jumping on the things you think you're winning already. So definitely weekly and into your core terms, sometimes even daily.
Great. So let's see what the answer to the poll is, what they're doing now. Okay, interesting. Yeah, quite split. Quite split. Pretty evenly across weekly, monthly, quarterly, and then of course some annually or even maybe rarely or never. Let's take a deeper dive into the tools that some of them we've demonstrated through the presentations that Marta and Baruch gave, but even there's some others that we didn't have a chance today to deep dive into that will hopefully give you some more inspiration on how you can be more regularly tracking and growing in your market. So on the market research side, we showed a lot of visuals of this new market intelligence module that's been released as part of the new generation of our platform. And these different views, this is just one of the views, the market quadrant analysis, but the module allows you to size your market, to analyze market share and the difficulty of penetrating and growing in the market. It allows you to benchmark performance accurately, and the accurately is very important, obviously, because in a benchmarking context, apples to apples matters a lot. And of course, in the internet, there's no guides, rules, and regulations for how businesses are constructed online. So you need that flexibility and customization to really tear apart and slice data of parts of websites, top of funnel, bottom of funnel, traffic to conversion to purchase rate. So all of that module is giving you that flexibility. And of course, tracking consumer trends to what Baruch was just saying, how things can change so frequently these days in consumer preferences. That the market intelligence module really helps you see those trends over time and in real time. Obviously, Marta went through a lot of detail in the business performance metrics, so we'll move on. And also in the market research tools, we showed you some views of our custom industry and website segments capabilities. These are personally some of the things I think are the most amazing about the Similarweb platform, just because I haven't seen anything like it anywhere else, where you can on your own create those views of the world that you want to analyze. So for example, the stage in the funnel of membership of all of the specific websites that you want to look side by side is in this graph. And of course, anyone who's working in an industry where there are brands or subcategories, and you want to analyze things on an apples to apples basis, we now have tools for everybody who joins our Similarweb 3.0 packages that have the ability to do that and be granular and highly accurate for understanding their audience. So we didn't talk about this in detail today, but we have many different trackers that have been launched. We're going to talk about a couple of the trackers in search that Baruch covered, but we wanted to also highlight competitive trackers, which we think, again, for kind of marketing leaders and folks that need a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, whatever that frequency is, but just kind of a high-level overview of what's changing to be able to be very quickly reactive. Competitive trackers gives you the ability to have insights kind of on a monthly basis for Sorry, everybody. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Just had a technical difficulty. I'm back with you. Okay, so competitive trackers, you can get alerted to new trends and topics and contextualize your performance across every marketing channel. Yes, I will share my screen. Thank you very much. Okay. Competitive trackers is just such a powerful tool that it took over my computer technical ability. It's a very powerful tool. And lastly, here we have the search marketing tools. This is a part of Baruch's passion of bringing the most relevant tools to marketers to be on top of their markets today. Very excited to launch new brand protection and rank tracker tools, which were featured in his presentation. And of course, here's where you can get to we didn't talk about it in the poll, but at the daily level of monitoring your competitors and reacting to the market trends, you now have the ability to have daily alerts when a bid is made on your branded term, identify emerging competitors. Like we said, it's not always the obvious folks out there that you're competing with. A lot of times you can get surprised by people bidding on your brand that is actually an emerging competitor, and pivot your strategy, right, to win back very high intent traffic. Of course, Rank Tracker, we need to stay on top of the SERPs. Everything is changing there all the time with Google. So now you have our superior data and kind of in-house parser to give you the SERPs nonstop. These are just some of the things we highlighted in the presentation, but in Similarweb 3.0, there's a lot more, and we didn't want to take too much time today to show you everything. We hope that we'll continue to talk with you afterwards, and you'll get to see more of this. But Search 3.0, we have amazing new data sets that are really driving you into the long tail and getting much more accurate keyword and trend data. So that's going to be a big part of the whole search intelligence offering that we're distributing now with this new platform. More data in general, by the way, we're very excited to have launched coverage for an additional 60 million websites, and especially for those smaller sites that have less than 5,000 visitors. App intelligence, I see there was a question, we'll talk about that in a second, about app intelligence. We've expanded the data set and with more unique app data points than we've had before. Now, in terms of extracting that data, we have a lot of analysts and insights folks that need to be able to, at scale, pull data from the platform, and maybe they're not yet using the API or the faster kind of data services that we've also launched, but Data Exporter is now a new user-friendly interface, also part of the questions that were asked, that lets you export data at scale. So we're very excited about that. Viewers, another really important thing if you're using Similarweb is to share your insights with your colleagues, your managers, your executive team. So we have new advanced sharing capabilities and viewers abilities so that everyone can be working off of the same source of truth, right? And align kind of or business priorities with kind of executional operation happening in marketing. And of course, we are partnering in your success with you. We've always been big believers in having a really strong account management offering for our customers, but in 3.0, we've really packaged up into that in addition to the full onboarding experience, managed services, professional services, and depending on each of your needs, of customers' needs, we align to what they're looking to do with Similarweb and what their goals are, and helping provide that they get where they need to go. So we're going to now move to the Q&A. I'm going to ask, well, look, we have a few questions here, which is great. Baruch and Marta, I'll ask each of you to get your inputs on these. I think the first one is a great one. It's a big focus, I know, for us right now in the product team. Is there any effort to make the platform more user-friendly? For example, having tabs work together instead of having everything so separate. Obviously, this is a current customer who knows the platform well. And we know that is a big focus. So Baruch, do you want to start, and then we'll hand it over to Marta on how we're working to make it more user-friendly?
Yeah, 100%. So we definitely have been investing incrementally through the past year even in simplifying ways and connecting the different capabilities within the platform. We recognize that we have many types of users who are used to look in particular areas of the platform and not always everywhere. And so we're tying many of these capabilities. And we're also looking to revamp new sections of our platform. Mostly, you'll see most of it more towards next year, which is our dashboarding system, which will allow people a lot even further flexibility and customization as they need. It is definitely a delicate balance between giving people all the tools they need to go granular and to go at a higher level. And so this is a constant improvement. We're looking also where people are actually using things and not using things to keep the simplification top of mind for our folks. So good feedback, and we'll take it as well.
Marta, on your end?
So on my end, I can only add that one of the efforts that you will see like a very significant improvement pretty soon is the dashboards area. So like we are adding more data sets to the dashboards, including segments. So once you have your data in the dashboards, you're not losing the filters when you're moving across different data sets. So between keywords, websites, segments, and apps, once having everything in the dashboards, like you just have your competitive set fixed, and you could have many dashboards, you could share the dashboards with viewers. So this is also something that is coming very quickly and is already quite powerful across apps, keywords, and websites data.
I'll just add also, I think that the new market intelligence add-on that you demonstrated, those views are now built in a way that in the past, maybe people had to do a lot of different tabs and manual work to get to those conclusions. Right now, the visualizations there are much more surfacing the insights instantly, as well as the data exporter we mentioned. We didn't show that there, but that's a much easier way now to extract all of the different data points you would want for different reporting. Of course, also the trackers that we talked about now have been built in terms of the search channel and also just competitively. And all of these efforts are prioritizing user-friendly, ease of access, ease of surfacing insights, time to insight. So that's definitely a big focus for us. Thank you for the question. Will we be able to share the slides afterwards? We will definitely be sending you all materials. And by the way, we wanted to say that anyone who would like a personalized competitor analysis, a deep dive similar to what you saw with Lululemon, please feel free to reply to that email that you're going to receive from us, and we'll reach out with someone to give you a competitive analysis. I think this might be for you, Marta. I'm not sure if there's a question here, but there was a comment about traffic for web and app. So maybe you just want to talk about the app offering because we didn't cover that.
Yes, absolutely. So we didn't have enough a space for all the insights. So we didn't include the data on, for instance, Fabletics or Nike app, because these two brands are leading in loyalty and retention, which not only means the great membership program, but also very powerful app. So this piece of insights were skipped because a Lululemon is not a strong app player. But we do, of course, have these data sets and available right now for our customers, but also we are improving them a lot. And very soon we will launch the app and web integrated view. That is another, I think, point being asked by many of our clients for a while.
Absolutely. Okay, great questions here. Thank you for everyone for submitting them. What level of data are available for third-party sites in our marketplaces? So Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy. We're very excited about that because it's a big focus for us. I see Marta lighting up already about the question. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. So we, in Similarweb platforms ecosystems, we have different solutions. And when you try to understand any websites in depth, including Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy, YouTube, Google, you name it, you have a granularity of going into any segment. So you could define your own kind of criteria for what you want to analyze on Amazon. So would it be a return rate? Would it be a specific category? Would it be the membership program or anything else? Many of our customers are also using it to understand how my brand is performing on Amazon. We do also have another solution for that, which we call shopper intelligence, when brands can go to the SKU level, so much more granular than just simply with segments. However, in the main platform, we also deliver on-site search data for all the big marketplaces, conversion analysis for the marketplaces, including the sections of the marketplaces. But whenever you're looking at the SKU level data, we recommend you to use our shopper platform. Or if you're looking at many, many different marketplaces on the market, we have also amazing retail analytics offering with our advisory services team.
100%. And that's definitely part of that 3.0 packaging in of different service levels based on the complexity of customers' businesses. And the retail analytics offering is very cool for the deeper, more complex companies that have many, many different product lines, like you said, and looking at many, many different retailers. So yes, across all of the Similarweb offering, we have this data. It just depends on what your need is. Next question, do you plan to add more e-commerce metrics like prices for products, conversion rates, AOV?
So I can also take this one. We do have conversion rates. It's in the existing conversion analysis modules. You have both conversion rates and converted visits for instance, a category level. So you could see Walmart, but home furniture category, or Walmart, but a fitness category, right? So we do have this data already. If you don't have in your access, just contact your AM and ask about the conversion analysis module. So this is the first question. And the second part of the question was prices, monitoring, average order value. This is again part of our retail analytics and shopper intelligence offering. However, I would recommend, if you have access to the platform, to play with the keywords research in this context, how many customers are looking for cheaper alternative phrases. So exactly what we have been showing you together with Baruch today.
So bottom line, we recommend definitely reach out to your account manager if you're already a Similarweb customer, and if you want to learn about more of the offerings around shopper intelligence, retail analytics, if you're not, or how to find within your current subscription some of the value for keyword research. Yeah. Mobile data, very important to us as a 360 digital intelligence company. Hot topic always. I think this is for both Baruch and Marta. Let's start with the first piece is, can we expect to get segments on mobile?
So actually, we have just released segments for total digital traffic, including both desktop and mobile web on 7 markets. And we are releasing another markets within the upcoming months. So in Q4, you could really expect a lot of new markets coming. Right now, it's available for US, Canada, UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Japan. And Australia and a couple of others. APAC markets are coming very soon.
And Baruch, what about organic versus paid keyword analysis on mobile?
Yeah, so as you've seen, we've really revamped some of our keyword databases in a level that hasn't been seen before. And it's definitely part of us looking into augmenting the mobile into this entire view. Also, I would recommend also to use our rank tracking capabilities. You can configure it on any device and in any location. And so you'll be able to really get granular even further on the SERP information. And so all of these aspects are definitely there. But as you can imagine, we take data very seriously. We want to make sure that the mobile information we're giving you is great data before we actually release to everyone. And so we're testing a lot of this with many clients to make sure that our algorithms are actually giving the right estimates. And with that, you'll get the organic versus paid.
And also, this is why you'll often see in the platform, and especially in that section of the keywords, a lot of beta features in beta for a long time, or because that's exactly the teams are getting feedback and validating the data. It's a thrill to get these questions. Now I've gotten these questions over the years here at Similarweb, and it's nice to finally be able to say, yes, these things are coming. They're soon. We've known for a long time we obviously know how important mobile is, and it's great to see the progress coming with Marta and Baruch's teams. Thank you for getting that question. Lastly, someone has said the data is really insightful. Super curious, how do you gather the insights from owned platforms and competitors? Same goes for the results via paid media. Baruch, do you want to try that one?
So I guess fundamentally, the way we operate is we harness many, many data sources. So it's not limited to one specific place. And this gives us a lot of different angles into where the data is being used. Another big part to what we bring is real user behavioral data. And that gives us a good insight into how things are actually emerging, where things are showing up, and the journey that we get. This is part of what helps sort of providing you with the latest insight, and not necessarily just with sticking into one data source or one methodologies that you might find with other application. And so for us, by using and leveraging a variety of data sources is actually giving you and surfacing you what we're seeing is trending. Clearly, as we do aggregates and things like that, we have to make sure we get rid of duplications and making sure that we come up with metrics that are in line with what you would expect to see from a traffic and engagement perspective.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Marta, anything to add to that? No.
I think Baruch nailed it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Is there a Similarweb app in development? Not to my knowledge. No, not at this time. Although we'd love to hear more about your thoughts on the use cases for that, the demand for that. We're always building in accordance to customer feedback. And by the way, if you are a customer, we'd love you to share that with your account manager and have them pass it to us. But it's definitely something that's come up over time, and just will be a matter, I think, of the opportunity for the customer needs, the pain, like any kind of normal road mapping process. So we'd love to learn more from whoever wrote that about what you would want in an app and why. But currently, no, it's not being planned. Okay. How are you dealing with the changes in user privacy, particularly iOS, where signals like user agents or IDFAs are becoming unavailable in most cases? Marta, I think that's for you.
Yes, I could take it. So essentially, like we have been that the privacy regulations and changes in technologies have been like an evergreen problem, since I'm in the business. So it's getting more strict each year. We are able to keep the most strict privacy standards, and we are able to measure our data and collect our data within the allowed scope. So for instance, one of the challenges is we cannot go into the in-app data for iOS. That's the challenge for all the market players. Nobody can get into the in-app for iOS. We are not going there, but other than that, for the app usage measurement, for the website usage, on smartphones as well as on the desktop devices, we are able to collect data, and we are keeping to the most strict privacy standards.
Thank you. And we only have 1 or 2 minutes left, which for this question is definitely not a 1 or 2 minute question, but I will see it. I think maybe Baruch and Marta will have one quick thing to say here about our kind of differentiation and uniqueness. I think that's really what the question is about. It all comes down, I would say, to our data and the uniqueness of that one slide earlier on about the robustness and the freshness, the granularity. Back to the beginning of the whole presentation, what's really going to drive growth for everybody out there is having the best data. And we really pride ourselves on the methodology that Baruch talked about earlier and all the insights you saw. That it's very unique in my eyes in the market. But I don't know if Baruch and Marta, you want to add anything? Just last thing is we play in so many different markets, right? You saw such a variety of use cases today and such a variety of personas and teams and industries that it can serve. So we really play in so many different areas that I don't see us as having 1 or 2 top, but it's very local. But go ahead, Baruch and Marta, if you want to add anything there.
I think we definitely are the leading in the web intelligence, and this is a big part to what we do. And that's why sometimes people are leaning into other competitors. The fact that we are not necessarily hooked into one specific channel as a baseline to all of the traffic and engagement is what gives us the advantage. And we're not closed into one particular ways of measuring. And a lot of what we bring as a differentiator is what I mentioned before, which is the real user behavioral data. And that gives us sort of the advantage of not having a bias towards one channel or the other channel.
And that you can see the trends as they happen and not months in delay. Yeah, because it's based on what real people are doing right now. Marta, go ahead.
Exactly. And in the world changing so much with AI and generative search and all the new trends that are coming, the solution that is based on tracking a real user's behavior is probably the only one that is a future proof. So here I'm speaking more from the marketing or competitive intelligence perspective, but switching to the a more market insights, market research, we're actually playing against many different competitors, including traditional market research companies. So here we just again just a robustness and the granularity of digital data, real-time behavioral data instead of declarative.
Thank you so much, everyone. I see we're already 1 minute over time, so unfortunately couldn't continue answering questions, but if you submitted them and were not answered, we have that recorded and we'll try to get back to you. Feel free to reply back to us when we send you out the summary of this webinar with the recording. If you'd like, again, a personalized competitor analysis or to learn more about 3.0, we're really excited to share it with you. Thank you again to Baruch and Marta for the insights you've shared and prepared today and how to grow your market. And may everyone grow their market for the rest of this year and into 2024. Thank you again for your time today.